This is the Reviewing Network Live, a weekly stream of consciousness recording session where I sit back with you folks out there, talk about some of the big news stories from the past week, and some other things I found that might be of amusement to you out there. I think you might get a kick out of it. Now, these are more like audio podcasts and are much longer than my usual videos and are also, for the most part, unedited and will contain some foul language. So, if you're easily offended by that, I advise you to maybe step back a bit, maybe go somewhere else. But hey, if you're up to the challenge, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks. And for the 89th time ever, we are live from the Reviewing Network studios. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Reviewing Network Live on this Mother's Day. I hope you all had a great day with your mothers and your grandmothers, or anybody you call mother, even though technically they're not really your mother, or so on and so forth. I'm just kind of filling time here, but how y'all doing out there? It's a Sunday, of course. The week is over. That means a new week begins tomorrow, and there's been a couple of stories in particular worth talking about. I'm certainly going to try to avoid the biggest story of the week because, pretty much everybody's already said what they've had to say about the president's movie terror plan. You know, basically him and his cronies trying to take over Hollywood. I've kind of touched on it a little bit in my Reviewing Network Talks About episode that came out last week, and really a lot of the criticisms I have towards this whole thing and this whole stupid idea, pretty much everybody else has already covered, so I'm not going to talk about it this week. I know that's the big news story around here, but I want to get to that. I want to keep the focus on the movies. That's what we're here for, and focusing on just stuff here that's not related to politics, even though they're trying really hard to get me to talk about this stuff, but anyway, that's not going to happen here on this show. Not this week, but let's get to the weekend box office as a whole. Really nothing really spectacular with the box office in general. A lot of the new releases this week did not make much of an impact overall, but one of them did make the top 5. Just barely. So let's get to it. Number 5, that movie is, of course, Clown in a Cornfield, which the title of that basically sums up what this movie is. It's a horror movie about a killer clown in a cornfield. You have a fading Midwestern town and where Friendo the Clown, a symbol of bygone success, reemerges as a terrifying scourge. Yeah, so it's basically it meets Children of the Corn pretty much. But $3.6 million this weekend, which is not bad considering this movie didn't have the biggest, marketing campaign overall. I don't think I even saw one trailer for it, but this is RLG Entertainment and Shudder. They usually do a very good job of doing this without really handling a big marketing campaign overall, and needless to say, it did very, very well this weekend. $3.7 million doesn't sound really all that great, but then you look at how much it cost to make, less than $1 million. Yeah, they made a profit on this no matter what, and even though the cinema score is at a C+, it got pretty solid reviews for the most part, 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, I've never heard of this movie before, but hey, congrats to them. They made money at the box office. So yeah, Clown in the Cornfield was the big over the new releases, but really that wasn't saying a whole lot. You had Shadow Force that followed after that at 6 with $2 million. That was, of course, the Joe Carnahan movie starring Kerry Washington and Omar Sy, which was never going to make any money with that just because nobody even knew it was coming out. And with a budget of $40 million to make just $2 million, yeah, I think we can all agree this was dead on arrival. Pretty much wasted everyone's time with that. And Lionsgate sure loves to waste money now on movies that they know will probably never make money at all, considering the fact that next week is going to be another movie that has, probably a big budget to it, which we'll get to in a little bit here as we look at next week's movies. But another new release that came out this weekend that didn't really leave much of a lasting impact is Fight or Flight, which is the Josh Hartnett movie. And I'm trying to see what the numbers are for this. This is a movie where, Josh Hartnett played a man who was recruited to identify and protect a wanted criminal aboard a commercial airline. So it's kind of like Con Air meets a little bit of Bullet Train. And reviews for this were not that bad overall. And it brought in $2 million this weekend domestically. And it's not showing here on Wikipedia where the what the budget on the movie is. I can't imagine it was that expensive. I mean, this is a movie by Vertical Entertainment. Vertical doesn't really make a whole lot of big blockbuster type of movies, so I'd like to think that it wasn't a big blockbuster overall, but then again, this was a British co-production, so maybe the money went there. But one movie that did find success in the small amount of theaters that it had was Friendship, the new movie with Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd, and this is the new A24 picture, and did pretty well in the 6 theaters that it was in. This thing brought in $451,904 in just 6 theaters, and not that bad overall. Got a lot of good reviews. Has a good cast of people in here. I said Tim Robinson, right? Tim Robinson from Saturday Night Live? I think I said Tim Robinson. If I didn't, I'm sorry. It's Tim Robinson, Paul Rudd, and Kate Mara. I'm pretty sure I did, but just to make sure. Like I said, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. Got a 77 out of 100 on Metacritic. It's in limited release now, and I was wondering when it was going to get a wide release. It's going to have a wide release on Memorial Day weekend, which probably won't be a good thing considering the 2 big movies opening up that weekend is are Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. But hey, you get sold out of those theaters, Friendship will be there for you on May 23rd. So anyway, let's get back to the top 5 in particular. And I just kind of went through all the new releases because really there's not that much going on in terms of the box office. Everything kind of is where it was before. So on number 4, The Accountant 2, which brought in $6.1 million, dropping 35% from last weekend, bringing its 3-week total now to around $50.9 million. If you take in the worldwide numbers, it is now up to $76 million. So it's slowly but surely creeping into that $80 million budget overall. So it'll make its money back overall, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't think the need was really there for this movie in particular, but so yeah, it's sticking around in there because really there's nothing else really to push it out right now. But you can say that for all the movies in this list here, which brings us to number 3, which is a Minecraft movie, which brought in $7.9 million, dropping 42% from last weekend. Crossed the $400 million mark domestically, $408.9 million after 6 weeks. Excuse me. International numbers took it over $500 million, so it's now over $900 million. So it's creeping up on $1 billion, which this thing could probably end up doing, which I don't get it. I don't get it at all, but I do get why this movie is successful, because it's friggin' awesome. Number 2, and that is Sinners. Still hanging in there and really just keeps on going. After 4 weeks, it has finally crossed the $200 million mark, $21.1 million, only dropping 36% from last week. If you count worldwide numbers, it's at $283.3 million, which doesn't sound like it's doing well enough internationally, but I mean, right now, it's already made back its $90 million budget, so they are good to go on that one, and this will probably be the last weekend where it has this slight small drop-off, because next week, of course, the Warner Brothers will have another horror movie out there, Final Destination Bloodlines, which could be tracking to do big numbers that I didn't think the Final Destination series was capable of, but we'll talk more about that in just a second. But in the meantime, let's get to the number 1 movie this week. Now, surprise, the number 1 movie from last week, it's the new Avengers, or the Thunderbolts, or whatever title they're coming up with now. I gotta give them credit for the marketing strategy they're doing with this, because, you know, Thunderbolts has that asterisk at the end, and everyone was wondering, what does that asterisk mean? Well, if you saw the movie, you pretty much knew what it was, and even if you didn't see the movie after Sunday, you were gonna get spoiled by it anyway, because they were literally putting marketing campaigns all over for the new Avengers. There were posters being ripped off with the new Avengers tagline on there. Like in Hollywood, there was a big billboard for the new Avengers that they put up, which lasted only a couple days, because as soon as they put it up, they already went ahead and started working on the next big Disney movie they're marketing, which is Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch kind of took over that billboard, and not even 48 hours after they put up the new Avengers thing. So they didn't even waste it. They didn't even waste time for that to be up there for as long as it did. They just took that down immediately. But hey, Marvel isn't shaking it whatsoever. The film is still doing very good numbers overall. Dropped to 55% from last week, brought in $33.1 million. If you count the 2-week total, it's up to $128.4 million domestically. Worldwide, if you count those numbers, it's up to $272 million worldwide. its budget was, of course, $180 million, which is actually one of the cheaper MCU movies, if you want to even call it cheaper, but it's doing good business overall, and it will probably get to that $180 million domestic mark, so they really needed this at Marvel, with Captain America Brave New World kind of underperforming, but not really. I mean, it did cross $200 million, but they were expecting a whole lot more from that. Something I found out that Snow White got re-released this weekend in like 1,000 theaters, and I'm just thinking to myself, why? And this is coming from somebody who actually didn't hate the movie like everybody else did, but it just kind of felt unnecessary to do that. But hey, moved back up 54% from last week, bringing in $335,000 more and bringing its total back up slightly to $86.4 million, which really isn't saying a whole lot, but hey, at least somebody went to go see it overall. But of course, that comes out next month on Blu-ray and DVD and all that type of stuff. But next week, of course, the big two movies everyone's going to be focusing on is Final Destination: Bloodlines, which supposedly looks like it's going to make around $50 to $60 million on its opening weekend, at least from what I saw, which I don't know how that's possible, because I didn't think Final Destination had that big of a draw to it. I thought it kind of... I mean, this isn't like The Accountant, where they were projecting a $50 to $60 million opening on that movie, and it completely fell off as the weeks went on. Like, Final Destination Bloodlines, I mean, the marketing's been doing a very good job of handling that. I mean, I like the fact that there's been billboards downtown where they show like these mannequins working on the statue, and one of them's actually got their head ripped off on the poster for it, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know how this one's gonna actually do, but hey, it's the last time you see Tony Todd as as William Bloodworth, so I guess there's that. And I guess a lot of people are really excited for it, and there's a whole thing. The trailer was a big hit online, and also there actually is a double-billed special screening going on this weekend for people who went to see the movie. They got to see that and the original release, so some people have already gone to see it already. So I'm very curious to see how the box office for this is going to do. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a success. I don't know if it's going to be $50 to $60 million success. I feel like that's a lot of money for that particular movie. But then again, a movie like Hurry Up Tomorrow would probably like to have that. There's no buzz on that movie whatsoever. I mean, that film right now, I saw projections probably having it somewhere around $2 to $4 million, which does not sound good at all, and especially for a film that's over $20 million of a budget. Yeah, that does not sound like a good thing whatsoever for that movie in particular. I'm still curious about it overall. I'm curious to see whether or not that this is one of the... This could be one of two things. It could actually be a really good movie, or it could be one of the most pretentious pieces of garbage ever. And either way, I'm looking forward to seeing how bad this movie is, or how good this movie is. I mean, it could go either way. It literally can go one way or the other. But let's just be honest. We're just waiting for the big weekend on Memorial Day weekend when Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible come out. That's going to be the weekend where, everybody's going to the theater that weekend. That's going to be the new Barbenheimer right there. The Stitch Possible or the final Liloing, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Maybe it's just time to get rid of that whole thing altogether. Just let Barbenheimer be Barbenheimer. Stop trying to make every weekend where two blockbusters opening up become the next Barbenheimer, because it's just never going to happen. You're never going to have that happen again. But so anyway, that's the box office in general. That's the weekend box office, and with that said, let's get to some of the news stories that this week I wanted to catch you up on. So we start things off with the news with Warner Brothers, who had a pretty big week of announcing new releases. One of the big ones they announced is Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum. The new trilogy of Lord of the Rings movies that I thought Peter Jackson was working on them, but maybe he's not directing them, because as this story on Deadline says Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema have set a December 17th, 2027 theatrical release for Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum. But here's the kicker. Currently, Disney has an untitled Star Wars movie in ComScore on that 2027 date, but that probably just hasn't been scrubbed from the system yet, which, considering that, we've got a Star Wars movie coming up in May of that year, more than likely that date's going to be moved off that date's going to be held off by Disney, and I think Disney's going to realize that, Lord of the Rings is probably going to have that weekend. But Universal also has a movie opening up on that weekend, too, that is not determined yet, but, I don't know. I don't know what it could be. I think maybe it's going to be the Daniels movie, the new film from the guys who did Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that got pushed back, I think. But But that's the quarter, by the way, that previous Peter Jackson directed Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies that bowed within. The first of 2 films, so I guess it's only 2 films here, The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, will be directed by and star Andy Serkis in the title role. The Oscar-winning team behind the blockbuster The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit trilogies, Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Bon... The stupid ads on here keep... Stop! I'm literally reading this off of Deadline Hollywood, and I'm trying to read this paragraph, and this ad for Lavazza Coffee keeps coming up here. Look, I like Steve Carell and John Krasinski too, but I'm trying to read an article here, so just let me read the damn article. Anyway, the Oscar-winning team behind the blockbusters The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit trilogies, Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Bowens, is reuniting to produce 2 new films for J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth for Warner Brothers and New Line. Zane Weiner is also producing, so I guess it's not a trilogy, it's just 2 movies, but... Walsh and Bowens are writing the screenplay, along with Phoebe Gittins and Artie Papagiorgio. And again, stupid ads keep popping up here, but here we go. The pick will be executive produced by Ken Cummins with Serkis and the Imaginarium's Jonathan Cavendish. The news for Hunt for Gollum comes in the wake of Warner Brothers Discovery's Q1 results, which grew streaming subs and profit. The entire Lord of the Rings and Hobbit live-action movies through 6 titles have grossed over $5.9 billion for Warner Brothers and New Line. They talk about The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, which didn't do well at all because they literally made that movie so they could keep the rights to the Lord of the Rings franchise. That's the only reason they made that movie. And the movie sucked. It sucked too. So, yeah, it didn't help. That's not helping get the excitement up here. But a movie called The Hunt for Gollum, it's going to be like The Fugitive, where Gollum is actually in the Harrison Ford role, while Tommy Lee Jones is going to go after him, there's going to be a scene where Gollum's just like, I didn't kill my wife, and it's just, and Tommy Lee Jones is like, I don't care, like it's going to be, I don't know, like, that's what I think of when I think of the title, The Hunt for Gollum, I think that's an amusing title. Andy Serkis as a director, I like the concept. The result has not been spectacular so far for him as a director. I mean, he's directed a couple of movies. The one he did recently was Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which was okay, I guess, but I've just never been a fan of the Venom movies overall. But I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've heard him doing Animal Farm seems very interesting. I feel like that could be something that could be very good. It hasn't come out yet, but it's coming out next month at the Annecy Festival, and then it's getting a UK release, so I don't know if we're ever going to see it on here in the US, but he also did Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, which was like the other Jungle Book movie that came out. Warner Brothers made that one, which I heard it didn't get the best reviews overall, but it did have some nice visuals to it, but I don't know if it's any good or not. I haven't seen the whole movie as a whole yet, but I don't know. I mean, this could definitely go one of 2 ways. It could really be something where it could go the Fantastic Beasts route, where it's completely unnecessary and there's no need to make this movie, or they could actually be doing something new with it. There could actually be a purpose for this to actually happen, but I don't know. Like, to me, it really is something that it's going to be very... I'm curious to see where it goes, but Andy Serkis has not made the strongest directorial efforts as of yet, but maybe that changes with Animal Farm. Maybe that changes overall, but again, we'll wait to see what happens. That's going to come out supposedly on December 17th of 2027. We hope so. And Warner Brothers was not done yet with the news stories, the new release date announcements. So M. Night Shyamalan's latest film at Warner Brothers has gotten an official release date, as going back to Deadline Hollywood, where he's not only teaming up with somebody like Jake Gyllenhaal as an actor, but Nicholas Sparks is back in play. Haven't heard from him in a while, probably for good reasons, since a lot of his movies were not that great, but this is a story from Deadline Hollywood, and it says that Warner Brothers has dated M. Night Shyamalan's supernatural romantic thriller Remain for October 23rd, 2026. It was always expected that the Sixth Sense director's next movie would go to Warner's, given the filmmaker's deal there. The only other wide release entry set for that date is October 23rd, 2026, is Jordan Peele's next movie at Universal. Given the genre of it all here, one of these titles might ultimately have to move, and if I have to choose between Jordan Peele and M. Night Shyamalan, I would say Jordan Peele's going to win that argument, but who knows. If the showdown sticks, that's intriguing. Shyamalan's released several genre titles via Universal, including Split, Glass, Old, and Knock at the Cabin. He went over to Warner Brothers to release Trap last summer, which grossed close to $84 million at the worldwide box office. Warner's also released Shyamalan's daughter's movie, The Watchers, from Ishana Shyamalan. That pick grossed over $33 million at the global box office. As Deadline first told you, Jake Gyllenhaal stars an original story co-created by Shyamalan and global best-selling novelist Nicholas Sparks. So this is not based on any one of his books, but Phoebe Dynevor and Ashley Walters are also set to star. Shyamalan and Sparks are independently writing a screenplay and a novel, respectively, based on the same original love story. So it's okay. So it is a book, but it's a book that's coming out because of the movie, not because it's based off of material made already by Sparks. So I don't know. Nicholas Sparks' movies overall have been more missed than hit. I mean, The Notebook really was the best movie he made overall, but M. Night Shyamalan has been on a roll as of late. He's made some good movies, but he's made some so bad it's good movies. Like Trap is a so bad it's good movie. I think his daughter should stay away from directing because she made one of the worst movies from last year, The Watchers, which was one of the most boring things I've ever seen in my life. But this could have some potential overall, and it's got M. Night Shyamalan, who's been on a roll, so yeah, it could be a ton of fun overall. And again, that was not the last time that Warner Brothers made a big announcement about an upcoming release. Let's talk about the new Evil Dead movie. As I'm literally staring at this disturbing image of the woman from Evil Dead Rise, Alyssa Sutherland. But this is a story from Deadline Hollywood, as I said. And it says that Warner Brothers Pictures and New Line Cinema will release the next installment in the Evil Dead franchise domestically on July 24, 2026. Dune Part 2 actress Sohalia Yacob will star. New Line Cinema and Sony Pictures are co-financing the sequel after the success of Evil Dead Rise. Sebastian Vanasek, who co-wrote the screenplay with Florent Bernard, has been tapped to direct, as we were first to report. Pick will be produced by longtime franchise producers Rob Talbot and series creator and horror icon Sam Raimi. Roma Adam, Jose Canes, and Lee Cronin will executive produce alongside cult legend Ash Bruce Campbell. Lee Cronin, of course, is working on the Mummy movie right now, so that's why he's not directing this. But New Line will distribute the film domestically through Warner Brothers on July 24, 2026. Sony will distribute internationally, with Studio Canal distributing in the UK and Metropolitan distributing in France. Evil Dead Rise, which was originally destined to go to HBO Max, was pivoted to a theatrical release in 2023 and minted $147 million worldwide, repping a renaissance for the franchise. The pick reunited New Line Cinema with Raimi, Robert Tapert, and Bruce Campbell nearly 40 years after the studio's release of the seminal holiday classic, an Evil Dead Christmas. That's something that they need to do. But the seminal horror classic, The Evil Dead. Jacob also starred in Planet B, which earned her a Caesar Award nomination, and Nomi Malance The Falconettes, which premiered at Venice and Cannes, respectively. She stars in the Hulu series No Man's Land, has had breakout roles in Gaspar Noé's Climax and Anis Volpi's The Braves. Jacob is repped by Sugar 23. Okay, they're just giving you kind of the agencies that they're involved in. I'm trying to find the title for this, because I'm pretty sure they revealed the title for this movie, and I can't believe that nobody has the title here on Deadline's page. I thought it was something like Evil Dead something? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, Evil Dead Burn. It's on a website called Geek Culture, so I don't know why it's not on any of the other ones here, but yeah, so we're getting a new Evil Dead movie, and after what they did with Evil Dead Rise, I'm more than in on this whole thing. I mean, that was one of those big surprises from a couple years ago that I was really like, wow, where did this come from? And they did a very good job of handling that. It was a really good movie, a really scary movie, a really fun movie. I mean, it didn't feel like the same Evil Dead movie that we saw before with the Jane Levy one, which I didn't think was all that bad, but it definitely felt too similar to the original film in general. But this one, the last one I thought was really good, so I'm really excited to see what they do with this movie in particular, and hopefully they get to do more fun things with it, because they did a lot of fun, crazy stuff with the last movie they did. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with that one. So that's Evil Dead Burn coming out in July of 2026. So let's go ahead and move on to the next news story I want to cover here, and it involves the X-Men. And this is what happens when you turn the MCU around and actually give them a big hit, because once again, Deadline Hollywood is reporting that Thunderbolts director Jake Scheirer has been tapped to essentially become the director of the X-Men movie at Marvel Studios. As the article says here, Following the successful launch of Thunderbolts, director Jake Scheirer might already have his sights on the next big Marvel Studios project. As sources tell Deadline, he is in early talks to direct the studio's new X-Men movie. It is unknown where things stand in the deal-making process, but insiders say that following a meeting this past week, Scheirer looks to be the top choice to take on one of the studio's most anticipated projects. Michael Leslie penned the script with Marvel Studio president Kevin Feige producing. Marvel Studio had no comment. The studio had been taking its time in finding the right person to take over directing duties and has made it clear it doesn't want to rush the process, similar to how it handled pitches with potential writing candidates last year. After months of meeting, momentum started to favor Scheirer, with early reactions to Thunderbolts beginning to trickle out, and after a return of form for Marvel Studios. The film opened with an impressive $162 million global take, as well as some of the best reviews in years from Marvel. Marvel and Scheirer had an incredible experience working together on Thunderbolts, a film that has since won over many critics and fans, becoming Marvel's best-reviewed film since Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021. While that recent meeting sealed the deal, Marvel executives were well aware how much Scheirer loved the X-Men comics, an early sign that he would ultimately get one of those meetings to pitch his vision of what a new X-Men movie would look like. Even before the reactions began to come out about how impressive Thunderbolts was, studios already were trying to get into business with the director. But sources say in recent days he had begun turning down jobs, as all signs were pointing to him landing one of the most coveted directing openings in town. It's hardly a surprise that Marvel would stay in-house for this film, given how often it has rewarded directors with big assignments following the successes of previous jobs. The Russo brothers wound up helming Avengers Infinity War and Endgame after directing the hit Captain America sequels. And more recently, Matt Shankman was given the directing reins on the Fantastic Four First Steps after helping to launch WandaVision, the first Marvel Studio TV series for Disney+. The latest development is sure to excite fans of the franchise who have been begging for a new movie since Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox and its library in 2019. The X-Men universe was by far the most popular and profitable Marvel IP that Fox controlled, with 7 films and a successful X-Men spin-off franchise that produced 3 more. After the disappointing release of Dark Phoenix in 2019, however, X-Men has been in need of a makeover. The news also comes following the massive success of Marvel's animated series X-Men '97, which was not only a big ratings hit for Disney+, but also earned some of the best reviews for any Marvel property in years. Following the series' recent season finale, it's become clear that the studio is highly valuable on the property. Marvel also got a taste of X-Men's success when Deadpool and Wolverine became the biggest live-action film of 2024, grossing more than $1 billion at the global box office. So yeah, really, it's not much of a surprise that they want to keep Jake Scheirer on board, and if he's as big of a fan of the X-Men as he claims to be, I think we're in for a real treat, because Thunderbolts definitely showed that this guy can handle a property like a comic book property like this and pay it off big time. I thought he did a very good job handling what he did with Thunderbolts. I can't imagine what he would do what kind of world he would give us with an X-Men movie. So I'm really excited to see where this goes overall. But it's still an early talk, so we don't know for certain if this is actually going to happen or not. It could be one of those things where, it's early negotiations, and that means he's more than likely going to do it. But he could drop out at some point if the negotiations don't really go well. But I think he's got a good chance of doing this. I think we're finally going to get a chance to see the X-Men come to life through the MCU. And if the Fantastic Four can be saved with the MCU, imagine what they can do with the X-Men. That's something that's something that could easily get a lot of people excited. The Fantastic Four ends up paying off big time for them, and it'll make people forget the fact that Blade's probably never ever going to get re-released get remade through the MCU. At this point, I'm not convinced we're going to see Blade on the MCU anytime soon. No matter how hard they try to get the script together, they can't keep filmmakers on board with it, and they keep changing the script overall. It's just like, but hopefully this gets done, though. I really want to see what this guy can do with the X-Men overall, so I'm really excited to see this get done. Hopefully it will get done, so with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at our next story that we have here. And that story is that Ted is coming back. Not as a movie, not as another series. We got the 2nd season coming out, but we have another series coming out, an animated series, as it was revealed on Friday that a new Ted animated series is coming to Peacock, and they actually gave us a first look through Rotten Tomatoes. So let's go ahead and take a quick listen to this. There's no animation in here. It just shows all the main cast coming back for this. And everybody's coming back for this pretty much. They got a lot of the same cast members from Ted 2. But I'll just let you go ahead and take a quick listen to this.
Come on, Ted. That's right, Johnny. Christ.
Ted. No, sorry.
There, first of the day. We'll get back on the saddle. Put it in the pot. 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 Put it in the... You gotta put it in the pot.
So that's really all it was. It was just showing everybody coming back for this and also showing the coming soon. It's going to be a Peacock original. And I've got the, once again, Deadline Hollywood with this story right here. Seth MacFarlane's Ted franchise is about to get a lot more colorful. Peacock has ordered an animated version of his live-action comedy series and films. A specific storyline is not yet revealed, but the series is a sequel that picks up after the Ted films. MacFarlane will reprise the role of the foul-mouthed teddy bear Ted and will also executive produce all episodes of Ted the Animated Series, with executive producers Paul Corrigan and Brad Walsh of Modern Family fame also producing the series, who also produced the live-action series Ted. Also set to reprise their roles from the series, from the movies, include Mark Wahlberg as John, Amanda Seyfried as Sam, Jessica Barth as Tammy Lynn, and you have SNL's Kyle Mooney joining the cast as Apollo, while Liz Richmond will play Ruth. The series comes from Universal Cable Productions, Fuzzy Door, and MRC. Other executive producers are Erica Huggins, Elena Kleiman, Jason Clark, Amy Carlson, and Claudia Katz. Rough Draft Animation is also working on this too. Of course, they've done a lot of animation for The Simpsons and Family Guy and King of the Hill. The animated version comes after the Season 1 successful live-action comedy Ted. Launched in January of 2024, the series broke records as Peacock's most-watched original title to date and was the #1 original streaming comedy in the U.S. for more than 2 consecutive months, according to Nielsen. It was recently renewed for a second season. So yeah, Ted is coming back with a new animated series, which, I've talked about my love for this character on so many occasions. I love this character. I love the movies. The second movie, not so much, but the series was great. So yeah, naturally, I'm really excited to see this. Even though it probably will look like the Family Guy equivalent to Ted overall, the animation will probably be very similar to that. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, I love these characters. I love these characters overall. Ted is just a fun character to watch. And, yeah, it's Seth MacFarlane doing what Seth MacFarlane does so well. I mean, it just works so well. I mean, what more can you say, man? It's just, I can't wait to check this out. I feel like this is going to be a really, really fun show when it actually comes out. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out. And luckily I have Peacock because I have Comcast. But anyway, those are the big news stories in terms of the world of movies and television. So let's go ahead and get to some other stories I want to cover. So we are getting close to the time when we're going to hear more about the fall schedules. CBS has already revealed their fall schedule for this year, and we're going to get to that in just a little bit here. And NBC and Fox will announce their schedules tomorrow. But NBC, of course, is one of the big ones that everyone's looking at because they just had this big cancellation swap on Friday. They canceled a ton of shows: Night Court, Lopez versus Lopez, Found, The Irrational. There was another show they canceled too. They canceled a lot of shows, and for obvious reasons, because this fall NBC is bringing back the NBA, and they got a lot of people excited last week at the Kentucky Derby when they started the big marketing push overall, and they started airing this commercial on TV. And essentially they've got a mix of NBA players and also the NBC family. You know, they have people like Mariska Hargitay, they have the people from America's Got Talent, they had Cody Rhodes from the WWE. They even had the Minions show up in here to do the Rumble Rocks theme, you know, yeah, that's the Minions overall, and they show like the SNL clip from when, you know, they were doing Rumble Rock, and then at the end, of course, you got to have the man himself, the one, the only John Tesh, bringing back that classic theme.
This fall, the NBA is coming home to NBC and streaming on Peacock.
John Tesh still got it.
Yes, he does, Tracy Morgan. Yes, he does. And it had John Tesh in there. And you can't it's always hard to believe that the guy from Entertainment Tonight did one of the most iconic theme songs of all time. It's just, it just gets you so excited for what's to come, man. And just like the fact that they got the song back, and it's just like, it seems like they're really doing everything they can to recreate the magic of what the NBA on NBC back in the day used to need. They are even going as far as bringing back one of the legendary voices of the NBA on NBC, and that is Jim Fagan. Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, how can they do that? Because Jim Fagan died in 2019. So how are they able to do this? Well, it's interesting. It's very complicated, to say the least. There was a video that showed up online that showed that they are planning to bring him back through the power of AI. And I just want you to take a listen to this, and I'll talk more about how I feel about this coming up in just after we listen to this. So let's just listen in on this.
The NBA on NBC is back. See you this October for the NBA season tip-off.
Yeah, it's a very short commercial overall, and yeah, this is very... I'm very conflicted on this whole thing, because it's the thing where look, the whole thing with AI as a whole, I've pretty much said everything I need to say about how much I don't like AI as a whole. I even use it I even use it in one specific area, and that's where when I do eBay, when I sell stuff on eBay, I do the AI descriptions, because I just want to get that on there, and it pretty much just gives you a straightforward readout of what I'm trying to sell you, and I use it for those reasons only. But with this, I'm conflicted by it, because if you listen to it again,
the NBA on NBC is back. See you this October for the NBA season tip-off.
I mean, it doesn't sound bad, but at the same time, I mean, the whole idea of AI is the whole thing. Just every time I see somebody using AI in the world of entertainment, my first thought to myself is, wow, I'm so glad that we went on strike 2 years ago in Hollywood for absolutely nothing to change. I mean, there's pretty much doing everything possible to get this is to use AI in nearly every single shape or form. And again, I'm really conflicted on this whole thing. I mean, I get it. You're trying to recapture the magic of the original NBA on NBC, because when you really look back at those old intros on NBC during the NBA time, they were memorable. They were some of the most iconic openings ever. I mean, and I get it. Yeah, I get it. They want to try to recapture that magic, but first of all, you can't find somebody else to do that voice. I mean, you basically have one of the great guys. You basically have a lot of good voiceover artists out there who could really does a pretty good job. Can do a pretty good job of replacing this. But again, there's also like I said before, there's also a contrast to that, because if you listen again, it doesn't sound that bad. I mean, considering how bad AI has been shown in like different movies and TV shows, it has sounded a lot worse compared to what's in this promo.
The NBA on NBC is back. See you this October for the NBA season tip-off.
Yeah, it doesn't sound bad at all. I mean, it literally does sound like a good representation of this. So maybe this is the way for NBC to show that, hey, we're going to do AI, but we're going to do it in a way where it's not going to sound like we're insulting the intelligence of the family overall. And I think the family did sign off on this overall. So, so they're completely in on it as far as I know. But, I think somebody, when I put this comment on one of my Facebook groups, somebody on the comment section made a good point that said that, it's not much of a big deal because this is a loophole since it's not fiction. Allegedly. And in some ways, he's right. I mean, it could be seen as kind of a loophole because it's not a fiction. It's not a movie. It's not a television show, a scripted television show. But Plus, it's only going to be in the openings alone. Like, it's probably going to be the thing that they show after they show, like, the big intro, the sweeping intro that gets you pumped up for what you're about to watch. Like, it's probably just going to be the voice of Jim Fagan going, "This is the NBA on NBC. Tonight, it's a matchup between the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers." Like, if it's just that, I don't see much of a problem with it. I think you can use AI in little incarnations, but if you're using it for the whole thing, that's where people, I think, really are going to start to get concerned and start to get worried. I mean, one of the most notable examples as of late was the fact that Late Night with the Devil, one of the best movies from last year, used AI essentially to try to create the emphasis on they're trying to create their own version of the Tonight Show Johnny Carson cards, the ones they used to have back when Johnny Carson was on the Tonight Show, and they had little bumpers that say "more to come," like that type of stuff. If you're gonna do something like that, I think it could be perfectly fine. I think it could work on that wavelength. I think that's something where it'll be distracting at first, but once we get a couple months into this, it won't be much of a problem overall. But yeah, I'm not saying I'm not fully in on this, but I'm not saying I'm completely against it either. If it's done in little small inclusions, like if it's just a little 10-second thing, I don't think it should really take away the overall enjoyment of what this thing could really become once they start redoing the intros again. And you're going to get the voice of Mike Tirico to be the new voice of the NBA on NBC. I think that's pitch perfect overall. So I think it's something where, yeah, it'll be distracting at first, but as time will go on, I think we'll get used to it. And who knows if it'll actually last, though. Like, it could be something where they do it for the first season, and then when they get to season 2, they basically just have somebody else come in and do it all over again. I mean, nobody really knows what's going to happen, but, I mean, I'm not against the idea overall, but I do have my concerns about it. So I'll just go ahead and say it like that. So, speaking of CBS, as we started this off, let's go ahead and take a look at their fall schedule for next year. So this is around that time, of course, where the networks announced their fall schedules, and CBS was the first one to get it going on Wednesday when they revealed their fall lineup for the 2025-2026 season. And considering that a network like CBS, who's been consistently the #1 network out of all the major broadcast networks out there, you would think that they'd be the ones to always be the one that keeps everything the way it is. But not CBS. CBS is usually pretty smart in how that they figure out that no matter what night you put a show on, people will come to it. I mean, I think NCIS is still the top-rated show they have on there. I mean, they've had a ton of top-rated shows on CBS this year. They've consistently been one of the most popular networks out there. So, yeah, once again, they are making a lot of changes in their fall lineup here, and CBS has the schedule right here. So I'll just go ahead and run it down for you. So on Monday, it starts off with The Neighborhood, the final season of that show, which I've never really been a fan of that show in particular, so it doesn't really bother me all that much that it's going away. Then they're starting a new comedy in that post-Neighborhood time slot called DMV, which stars Tim Meadows and also features Harriet Dyer. And it's based off of a award-winning author Katherine Heine's short story. It's a single-camera workplace comedy set at the place everyone dreads going the most, the DMV. Our quirky and lovable characters are making minimum wage, doing a thankless job where customers are annoyed before they even walk in the door. Good thing they have each other. And CBS has been, CBS is the place where they've been known for the mostly multi-camera comedies. So the fact that they're doing more on the single-camera comedy still, which is, I think that's something very impressive on their part, since they're kind of steering away from what they're usually reliable for. Not to say they're not going to have any multi-camera comedies anymore. I mean, they've got 2 on the schedule one we just talked about and one we'll get to later on, but I don't know. I saw the little preview they had for it. I wasn't really impressed by it. I thought it was kind of a mediocre joke overall. In fact, I've got it right here, so let's go ahead and take a listen to this real quick.
We can start whenever you're ready.
Ready?
Yeah. No, stop! Wrong pedal, wrong other pedal. Oh, he's in a wheelchair. What do you want? Stop the car. That's a kid. Kid.
So if you listen to it, it's basically you have, I think that's Harriet Dyer in the car, in the passenger seat. She's with an older woman who's getting her license renewed, and the whole thing is that she's extremely old, so she clearly has no idea. She can't hear things very much, and she has trouble, staying within the cones. And they keep hitting all these people that are cardboard cutouts. And the first thing I should say right off the bat is Simpsons already did it and made it much funnier. Even though it wasn't with an older person, it was still much funnier than anything in that. But I mean, it's got Tim Meadows, it's got Harriet Dyer. It's a funny concept overall. I feel like you could do so much with this concept of a sitcom in the DMV. I think there is a lot of potential there, but I will say that clip though didn't really get me all that excited for that show in particular. So I'm willing to go for it, but I don't know. I feel like you should have just kept the Damon Wayans show that was on that Papa's House, which was actually really good. It was nice seeing the Wayans brothers back in something that was actually good, but unfortunately got canceled after the first season, which sucks. But so after that, FBI is moving from Tuesday night to Monday night in the NCIS time slot, and then they're introducing a new FBI spin-off series called CIA. And CIA is the story of you have Tom Ellis from Lucifer in a one-hour crime drama centering around two unlikely partners: a fast-talking, rule-breaking, loose-cannon CIA case officer played by Ellis, and a by-the-book, seasoned and smart FBI lawyer who believes in the rule of law. Will these two ever get along? When this odd couple are assigned to work out of the CIA's New York station, they must learn to work together to investigate cases and criminals posing threats on U.S. soil, finding that their differences may actually be their strengths. Yeah, it's literally a Lethal Weapon, except with the CIA. I mean, that's literally what this concept is. And unfortunately, DMV was the only one that actually had a clip from the show itself. The other ones, that if you go to the YouTube channel, you have Tom Ellis' new show, CIA, series announcement. They have Donnie Wahlberg announcing his new show, Boston Blue, and Morena Baccarin announcing her new show, Sheriff Country, which we'll get to those in a little bit, but I don't know. The concept of CIA sounds like they're trying way too hard to go on the Lethal Weapon route, but anyway, Tuesday night, NCIS is back on Tuesday nights in the slot where it had been for the past 18 years at that point, because it moved to Mondays, I think, in season 19, if I'm not mistaken. But there's NCIS, NCIS Origins, and NCIS Sydney. So it's the NCIS shows that are still very much on the network, all on Tuesday night. Wednesday night, you have Survivor and The Amazing Race. Then starting in January, it'll be Hollywood Squares, The Price is Right at night, and Harlan Coben's Final Twist, which I don't know who Harlan Coben is, but according to this, Harlan Coben's Final Twist brings the world's best-selling mystery author into the true crime television genre for the first time. With over 90 million books sold globally and scripted series, Fool Me Once, Save the Innocent, Harlan Coben is known for his twisted narratives and intricate plots. In each one-hour episode, Harlan will guide audiences through gripping tales of murder, high-profile crimes, and life-altering surprises, each meticulously unraveled to reveal hidden truths, deceptions, and lies. With exclusive interviews and never-before-seen archival materials, the series will provide an in-depth look at stories where nothing is as it seems. So it's another 60 minutes, 48 hours type of show, pretty much. I mean, it really is just kind of like that. But then it says starting in the spring, there'll be Survivor 50, the 50th season of Survivor. There is America's Culinary Cup, which is a new show premiering, and it says here, America's Culinary Cup from Emmy-nominated food expert Pamela Lakshmi from Top Chef is a new cooking competition series. Lakshmi serves as the creator and host of this new culinary showdown featuring a cast of the nation's most decorated chefs as they embark on a one-of-a-kind high-stakes competition designed to challenge their creativity, endurance, presentation, leadership, and more. And then after that, there will be Hollywood Squares, a half-hour version of Hollywood Squares at 10:30. And then Thursday, nothing really changes. Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, the Big Bang Theory universe series continues. Ghosts is at 8:30, followed by Matlock and Elsbeth. Friday night is where you'll see Sheriff Country, the new spin-off to Fire Country, which stars Morena Baccarin as a straight-shooting sheriff, Mickey Fox, the stepsister of Cal Fire Division's Chief Sharon Leone, Diane Fora of Fire Country. She investigates criminal activity while she patrols the streets of small-town Edgewater, contending with her ex-con father, played by W. Earl Brown, who is an off-the-grid marijuana grower, and a mysterious incident involving her wayward daughter. Sheriff Country is an expansion of the universe of the hit drama series Fire Country, which follows at 9 o'clock. And then at 10 o'clock, since most people are missing Blue Bloods, a new series spinoff will take place called Boston Blue, in which Donnie Wahlberg reprises his role as NYPD officer Danny Regan in a universe expansion of the long-running top drama Blue Bloods. In the new drama, Regan takes a position with the Boston PD. Once in Boston, he's paired with Detective Lena Peters, played by Sonequa Martin Green of Star Trek Discovery fame, the eldest daughter of a prominent law enforcement family. And then, of course, Saturday you have CBS Encores, essentially, and games, and there'll probably be some college football games coming out on that time slot, and then, of course, 48 Hours. And then Sunday night you have 60 Minutes, then Tracker, then a new competition series called The Road, which offers viewers a backstage pass into the gritty and unforgiving life of a touring artist. With exclusive access to behind-the-scenes workings of the music industry, viewers will see what happens when some of the best up-and-coming performers pile into a tour bus and tackle a grueling schedule in pursuit of their dreams. From executive producers Taylor Sheridan, Blake Shelton, David C. Glazer, Lee Metzger, and Keith Urban, the docu-follow format trails Grammy Award winner Urban on his journey to discover the next big artist alongside Grammy Award winner Gretchen Wilson, who acts as the tour manager. Singers will join the headliner on tour, performing as opening acts in venues across the country. They will compete to win over local fan bases to secure a spot in the next city and remain on the tour. So, essentially, it sounds like kind of an equivalent. It sounds like kind of a docu-series more than a reality show. And hey, take people that were involved in two of the biggest reality competition shows in the last 20 years, American Idol and The Voice. And there you go. And then in the fall, Watson will be back at 10 o'clock, but before then, there'll be a new Yellowstone spin-off series, Yellowstone Marshals, or Y Marshals as they call it on here. It stars Luke Grimes as Casey Dutton. With the Yellowstone Ranch behind him, Dutton joins an elite unit of U.S. Marshals, combining his skills as a cowboy and Navy SEAL to bring range justice to Montana, where he and his teammates must balance family, duty, and the high psychological cost that comes with serving as the last line of defense in the region's war on violence. So yeah, it's a way to bring the Yellowstone franchise to network television, and hey, why not do it with Yellowstone? I mean, it was very popular on CBS, and yeah, pretty much that. But then they also announced a show for next season, 2026 to 2027. That is Einstein. Einstein is a drama with comedic undertones starring Matthew Gray Gubler from Criminal Minds as Lou Einstein. Brilliant but directionless, the great-grandson of Albert Einstein spends his days as a comfortable, tenured professor until his bad boy antics land him in trouble with the law and he's pressed into service, helping a local police detective solve the most puzzling cases. This was a show that they were developing this year. They decided to hold off for next year. And that's pretty much all I got for you on that one. So that's CBS's schedule as a whole. Some big surprises in terms of shows moving to different nights. But other than that, it's standard stuff from CBS. I think the real fun excitement comes when we get to the other networks. Like what's going to happen with NBC, Fox, ABC, CW maybe not so much. CW doesn't really have a whole lot of stuff on there. I think the only thing CW has is some college football games and more importantly, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Those are the only two things I really watch the CW for. So as long as they're on the schedule, I'm gonna be watching. I'm not gonna watch the CW. That's the only thing I'm watching the CW for. But Fox, ABC, NBC get it all started tomorrow. NBC and Fox will get it started tomorrow, and then ABC on Tuesday. And one show I'm hoping that doesn't get canceled is The Great North. I mean, Fox made a big deal yesterday renewing the other animated shows they have on their lineup: Grimmsburg, Crapopolis, Universal Basic Guys. All shows I'm not a big fan of. Grimmsburg's probably the one I like the most, but even then, it's not that great of a show overall. But it's certainly a lot better than Crapopolis and Universal Basic Guys. But I'm hoping The Great North doesn't get canceled. I feel like that's the one. That's a great show that they have on there. That really is the equivalent to is the American Dad equivalent to Family Guy's to Bob's Burgers Family Guy. I'm getting my comparisons mixed up here. Family Guy's Bob's Burgers is basically Family Guy is to American Dad what Bob's Burgers is to The Great North. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get across here, and I'm hoping the show doesn't get canceled because the show is still really funny. I hope Fox keeps it around, but knowing Fox, they know how to screw over their fans big time. So, but anyway, that's CBS's fall schedule. So let's go ahead and get to the next story I want to cover here, and it involves the Golden Globes. So the Golden Globes announced this week that they're adding a new category this year, and not involving movies or television, but involving podcasts. Hollywood Reporter has the story here, and it says, it would appear that Joe Rogan, Alex Cooper, and Megyn Kelly could be soon be invited to the Hollywood's Party of the Year. Not really. I mean, it's the Golden Globe Awards, but that's because the Golden Globe Awards, which for decades has celebrated the best of film and television, are broadening their horizons. They will now feature podcasts too, the organization behind the event announced on Wednesday. The Globe's Best Podcast category will feature 6 nominees chosen from among the 25 most listened to podcasts that have made a significant impact over the past year, celebrating the creativity and influence of creators worldwide. Comprehensive eligibility criteria and additional details will be announced in the coming weeks. The category's first winner will be crowned during the 83rd Golden Globe ceremony, which will air on CBS, stream on Paramount Plus, and be hosted by comedian Nikki Glaser on Sunday, January 11, 2026, so a day after my 37th birthday. As the world of entertainment continues to evolve, we are excited to recognize new forms of storytelling. Helen Hohane, president of the Golden Globe Association, said in a statement, podcasts have emerged as a profound medium for sharing narratives and building communities across global borders and generations. By celebrating achievements in both audio and visual podcasts, we aim to honor our heritage categories while making room for new voices and formats to be heard. In a category that's going to feature names like Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I give them credit for trying to branch out their identity and all that by adding a podcast nomination category here, but at the same time, again, it's just like there really is the podcast category. The podcast I listen to, I mean, I'm a guy that is my big one that I always listen to is Double Toasted, Spill.com. You know, I grew up with those guys. I listened to their podcasts from the beginning, shows like that. I don't really listen to a whole lot of podcasts from a lot of people. I mean, I listen to some of them, but not enough for me to say that the ones that I'm going to be really happy if they get nominated are going to be there. Like, I think there's no way that Double Toasted's ever going to get a Golden Globe nomination for Best Podcast. As much as I would love to say it, I don't think a lot of people even know who they really are, except for the few that grew up with Spill.com and Double Toasted it when it was on. But I mean, it's weird. It's a weird feeling to have with this whole thing, and it's just kind of like, I mean, it's not a bad idea, but at the same time, it's just going to be, it's the Golden. It's bottom line. What it really comes down to is the fact that it's the Golden Globes, and the Golden Globes have not really had credibility in over 20 years. I mean, the Golden Globes used to be the place to go when you wanted to figure out who's going to be the front runner for the Academy Awards or the Emmy Awards, and nowadays, it's become more of a bought and paid for type of thing. And they say that they have gone ahead and pretty much said that, well, we don't do that anymore, but sometimes you can look at it and go like, yeah, sometimes they still do it, and they're not even trying to basically cover it anymore. I mean, yeah, they've gotten better with it in the last couple of years, but it still feels like they're still a little bit there, unfortunately. So I don't know. I don't know how to really feel about this per se. I don't think it's anything that promising overall, but hey, more power to him for branching out. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last story I want to cover here, and then I want to ask you folks out there for something in particular that I've been thinking about doing as of late. But before that, let's get to the last story I have here. Well, it has certainly been a very busy couple of weeks for Pittsburgh sports. I mean, 2 weeks ago, the Penguins finally got rid of Mike Sullivan as the head coach. The Pittsburgh Pirates got rid of Derek Shelton on Thursday, but in between then, the Pittsburgh Steelers made a big move. And no, it's not that Aaron Rodgers has officially announced that he's coming to Pittsburgh. No, he's still playing that con game with the Steelers, which at this point I really don't care anymore. And shortly after this week's big news from the Steelers, I'm already ready for the season to be over, and it hasn't even started yet. But yeah, this one's kind of a bummer for me, but this was a story that took place on Wednesday. The Dallas Cowboys have traded with the Pittsburgh Steelers for George Pickens. This was something that was being talked about during the draft, and never happened. And then all of a sudden, now here it is with ESPN, and happening now. And ESPN has that story right here from Todd Archer. And it says, the Dallas Cowboys search for a number 2 wide receiver opposite pro CeeDee Lamb has landed them George Pickens. The Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers agreed to a trade Wednesday that will send Pickens to Dallas for a 2026 third-round pick. The Cowboys will also send a 2027 fifth-round pick to the Steelers and get back a 2027 sixth-round pick. 3 weeks ago, Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones hinted that the club was working on substantive trades involving players that could be completed before or after the NFL draft. Had Tenatoria McMillan been available when the Cowboys picked at 12 in the first round, the wide receiver would have been Dallas' first-round pick, sources said. But he went number 8 to the Carolina Panthers. The Cowboys did not pick a wide receiver in the remaining 6 rounds despite the need. Pickens, a second-round pick for the Steelers in 2022, is entering the final year of his rookie contract. Sources tell ESPN's Jeremy Fowler that the Cowboys do not plan to extend Pickens' contract and will let him play out the final year. The trade comes as Pickens' role as the Steelers' top wide receiver appeared to be supplanted after Pittsburgh traded for DK Metcalf in March. The Steelers are also awaiting an answer from Aaron Rodgers about whether he'll play in 2025. The Cowboys will have their starting quarterback Dak Prescott back after he missed the final 9 games last season with a hamstring avulsion that required surgery. With Lamb and Pickens, the Cowboys have their best wide receiver duo since Lamb was paired with Amari Cooper in 2020 and 2021. Dallas acknowledged the desire for a number 2 wideout at several points in the offseason and had conversations with several clubs regarding a trade before setting their eyes on Pickens. Pickens, 24, has 59 catches for 900 yards and 3 touchdowns last season. He posted at least 50 receptions, 800 yards, and 3 touchdowns in each of his 3 seasons with the Steelers. He missed 3 games in 2024 because of a hamstring strain and a number of on-field incidences. Pickens was flagged twice for unsportsmanlike conduct in a Week 13 win against the Cincinnati Bengals. A week earlier, he had been involved in a scuffle with Cleveland Browns cornerback Greg Newsome II during a Hail Mary attempt. He's just got to grow up, man. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin said that after the win over the Bengals. This is an emotional game, man. These divisional games are big. He's got a target on his back because he's George. He understands that, but he's got to grow up. He's got to grow up in a hurry. Tomlin also reiterated that stance in his end-of-the-season news conference a month later. There's certainly obviously more room for growth there. I think he's covered some ground in 2024, but there's certainly a heck of a lot more ground to be covered, and we'll see where it leaves us. It basically leaves you with you literally agreeing to the trade. Like, there's been stories out there that have literally said that Mike Tomlin literally was the one that said, we're making this happen. We can't handle this anymore. With Pickens shipped off to Dallas, Calvin Austin III, a 2022 fourth-round pick, becomes the Steelers' leading returning receiver with 548 yards and 4 touchdowns last season. A wide receiver with 3 touchdowns and 4 touchdowns last year. Yeah, that's not good for this team overall. But beyond Austin, Pittsburgh also returns Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek, and signed Robert Woods as a free agent. You can't look at that wide receiver room and tell me the Steelers are not trying to tank this season. I would love to think that that's the case, and it's clearly looking like that's the direction they're going here. But you know, the Steelers, they can't make it that easy. But anything else on here? No, I think that's it. But yeah, it's like I said, it's just like they're in this. It's like I said this before. They got DK Metcalf 2 months ago. Now they got rid of George Pickens. They're literally in the same position they were when DK Metcalf is when DK Metcalf got there. It's before DK Metcalf got there. They're stuck looking for another number 2 wide receiver, while they're also looking for a new quarterback, while they also have a new running back in the backfield because they let Najee Harris go to the Chargers. Like, you cannot tell me that this team is trying to tank for a top draft pick next year. I mean, I want to think that that's the way they're going with it, but of course, it's never that easy with the Steelers. Mike Tomlin still has to keep that non-losing season record going because that's all he cares about. I mean, seriously, when they got to 10-3 last year, I thought to myself, he's really going to blow this, isn't he? He's going to try to blow this whole thing and not even try. Because he didn't try against Philadelphia. He didn't try against Kansas City. He didn't try against Baltimore twice. And he didn't try against Cincinnati. No matter how hard you want to believe that he wants another Super Bowl, as soon as he got that 10th win, he was like, well, my work is done. And then the Steelers were complete crap for the last 5 weeks of the season, including the playoffs. So yeah, I would love to say that the Steelers are tanking so they can get their hands on a top draft pick, but you know that's not going to be the case at all, and it's going to end up with them somehow getting another winning record and basically finding themselves trapped once again in a situation where they're taking whatever mediocre person is available to them in the mid round, which I say mediocre, but I don't know. Derek Carmen could have some potential overall, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, dude, if you are do you want to win another Super Bowl or don't you? Like, I really don't know what the Steelers are thinking with this whole thing. And, you know, the people around this town were thrilled when they got rid of George Pickens, just like they were thrilled when they got rid of Kenny Pickett, because he never did anything of noteworthiness again except win a Super Bowl as the backup to Jalen Hurts this past February. Juju Smith-Schuster, good thing he's gone. He's never done anything of noteworthiness. Oh, he's playing with Patrick Mahomes and has won a Super Bowl with him. Antonio Brown won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Le'Veon Bell went to a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. Yeah, I've said it before that the problem isn't the players, it's the coaching staff. It's the coaching staff, it's the way the organization treats them, it's the way this town treats these people who, if they even show one shred of being excited for something, it's like, oh, they're the monsters. They've got to be dealt with here. They got to be treated. It's because we want people who want to play for the love of the game. Well, guess what? They are having much more success than anybody on the Steelers is right now. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to tell you this. I'm guaranteeing you that George Pickens is going to find his way to squeeze himself out of town. I feel like this is going to be Antonio Brown 2.0. George Pickens knows he's never won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. He's going to try to finagle his way out of there, and he's going to end up with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm telling you that's what's going to happen. I'm willing to put $1 million of my money that I don't have, and probably will never have, but I'm telling you, I am willing to put my family's life on the line to say that George Pickens will end up in Kansas City. Whether or not it's next year, whether it's at the end, at some point this season, it's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. He's not even going to try to hide it either. It's going to be just like Antonio Brown tried to do it a couple years ago when he got traded to the Raiders and never played one game for them and ended up playing with the New England Patriots for one game. But like I said, he eventually won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, and then he screwed that up. I'm telling you, George Pickens is going to find his way to Kansas City at some point within the next year. You watch what happens there. But yeah, like I said, this really isn't much of a surprise considering how this team has run itself in the last couple of years. I mean, everyone makes the thing is just like, well, Mike Tomlin clearly has a very good job of handling nutcases like the wide receivers they had. Yeah, they also have a good job of getting rid of them when they know that they're star talent, and we see later on that they're actually doing much better in other organizations. Case in point with Juju Smith-Schuster, even though he was probably the cleanest one of the entire group that they had. Like, what was Juju Smith-Schuster's biggest crime? Oh no, he danced on logos, opposing teams' logos, putting a target on him. Okay, so what? That same year, the Tennessee Titans did the exact same thing with the Baltimore Ravens. So what? Like, I mean, I'm about to go on another Steelers rant here, and I really don't feel like doing that right now because, really, I just don't care anymore. I know the season is not going to be very good. I know the season isn't going to be great. Part of me wants to believe that the Steelers know that, and they're just moving on to 2026. Hopefully that they're going to get they're going to get one of those top draft picks. But with all that said, though, I will be positive. I'm cautious. I do like the people that they drafted this year. Derek Harmon, it's hard not to root for the guy, especially considering what happened on draft night, where his mother literally died after he got drafted, which really sucks for him. But yeah, you can't help but feel a lot for that kid. I mean, that guy is going through a lot right now. But Caleb Johnson, I think, could be a good running back. I've seen the stuff from Iowa, and he looks pretty good. He looks like he could be a good running back overall. Will Howard, Jack Sawyer, they got the guys from the Ohio State team. Jack Sawyer, of course, was the one that got them into the championship, and Will Howard is a good quarterback overall. And honestly, if Aaron Rodgers somehow decides to retire out of the blue, I mean, hey, Derek Carr retired yesterday, and surely that's leaving the New Orleans Saints with a lot of question marks, and who knows, they could be the ones that could be looking at maybe bringing in Aaron Rodgers. But if Aaron Rodgers decides to retire and not come to Pittsburgh, and it's going to be Will Howard, I wouldn't be against it. I mean, let's see what he can do with a year under the system. Let's see what he can do as the starting QB. I mean, if it has to come down to that point, and if it doesn't work, you go ahead and draft somebody at the top. You trade, do something. But I mean, like I said, man, this is after what the Steelers have done the last couple of years. My excitement really has weighed down big time. I'm not really that much excited for them as of late, but I mean, what more can you say, man? But hey, I am going to cover some Steeler games next year, as I just announced today on Talking About the Movies on the main channel. Reviewing Network Live Sunday Night NFL Rewatch is coming in the fall, and we're doing the schedule special this Wednesday as the schedule will be released. That'll be at midnight here on the Reviewing Network Live, so be on the lookout for that this Wednesday night. But so anyway, that's that story right there. George Pickens traded to the Dallas Cowboys. So let's go ahead and take a look at one last thing I want to talk about here before we get on out of here. So this is the last thing I want to talk about. Really isn't much of a news story but it's more of something I've been thinking about more and more doing, especially now considering that a couple of games that I was looking forward to play this fall, Madden 26 and College Football 26, are going to be PlayStation 5 exclusives. I have a PlayStation 4. I've had it for the last 10 years. It's done me very well. I also use it as a Blu-ray player. And like I said, it's been very good to me. It hasn't crapped down on me in any way, shape, or form. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed having it in my hands, which leads to the thing that I've been thinking about. I'm thinking about buying a PlayStation 5. I'm thinking about getting one. I feel like it's time to do so. It's been too long since I've had this PS4. But I feel like inevitably I gotta advance it. I've gotta move on to the newer system in particular. And I was smart. I waited. I didn't want to get it right away because, well, first of all, it was hard to get the first time around. But more importantly, the first time you get a PlayStation 5, there was a lot of you probably had a system that had a lot of faulty flaws to it. And that mostly happens with newer systems as soon as they come out. So I was smart. I waited. And so now I'm trying to figure out what version to get. What edition of the PlayStation 5 is the best version to get? Because there are a lot of different versions of the PS5. There are some versions that have a disc drive. There are some versions that don't have a disc drive. And some versions some people say you should get the PlayStation 5 Pro, even though it's the most expensive one. It's the best version you can get. There are some versions that supposedly don't have a disc drive on that one either. So I want to ask you folks out there, let me know down in the comments, what's the best PS5 to get? If you have one, if you somehow got your hands on one, what's the best one to get? I'm trying to figure out which one I want to get so I can start saving up for it, because they range from different prices in particular. They range from different prices and different uses all around, and I'm just trying to figure out which one is the best version to get. So, you have as I'm looking on Best Buy's website where they actually have an article about choosing the right PS5. Which should I buy? And their final result was basically that they said right here, the standard PS5 Slim isn't better than the digital PS5 Slim. And the digital PS5 Slim isn't better than the standard. Both PS5 Slim consoles are identical as far as internal specs and performance and both are capable of playing the same PS4 and PS5 games. The only difference is that the digital version cannot play physical discs. The PS5 Pro also cannot play physical games, but it offers improved performance and graphical enhancements compared to the Slim models. This makes it ideal for gamers seeking a more powerful PlayStation 5 console for demanding titles and higher resolution. So it's not a question as to which console is better while comparing PS5 Digital Edition versus regular or PS5 Slim versus Pro. Instead, you should be asking yourself which PS5 console is better for you. It really doesn't answer my question overall, but so basically, yeah, like I said, it's just, some of the PS5s out there don't have a disc drive, and that's kind of what I want to have. I know you can get a disc drive on its own, and you'd be paying like an additional $72 for it, but the New York Times has an article on this too, and according to the New York Times, the top pick for them is the Sony PlayStation 5 Slim. As it says, the base model has everything you need to play new or used PS5 or PS4 or PS5 games for years to come, including a disc drive, which also lets you watch UHD Blu-ray movies, so I can watch 4K movies on it if I want to. But the prices on here range from $499 from Walmart, $500 from Best Buy, and $560 from Amazon. It says, for most people, the PlayStation 5 Slim console is the version to buy, especially if you already have a big collection of PS4 games and physical movies. It can also play every PS5 title and almost every PS4 game. It's the only PlayStation 5 console to come with a disc drive, which means it can play used or borrowed physical copies of games, as well as UHD Blu-ray movies. And then they have the Slim Digital Edition here, same but no disc drive, which is $374 on Amazon and $375 for Best Buy. Upgrade pick, it says the PlayStation 5 Pro, which, Jesus Christ. Take a look at the prices here. $699 from Amazon, $699 from Walmart, $1,820 from Best Buy. Like, what the hell? So, yeah, needless to say, I'm not going to be getting that from Best Buy, but, okay, I'm trying to, hold on a second. So, according to the article on the New York Times, I think the best one that I'm probably going to try to look for is the PlayStation 5 Slim, because I have an assortment of PS4 games, and there are PS5 games that I want to play on there, and it says you can watch UHD Blu-ray movies, you can watch 4K movies on there, so that's probably the version I'm going to try to get my hands on, and, I put $100 away from my paycheck overall the next 5 weeks. I could probably get one by the time June comes around. So yeah, that's probably the version I'm gonna get. But if you folks out there who have a PlayStation 5, let me know down below which version do you think is the best option. Right now, I'm thinking about potentially getting the Sony PlayStation 5 Slim, because that feels like the version that I want to get that fits my needs. I get to play my games. I get to play Blu-ray movies on there. So that's probably the one I'm going to get. But once again, let me know your thoughts down below. Which version should I get? Which versions do you have already, if you have one? But which version do you think is the best option for me? So just that one. So just one last thing I wanted to cover on there. So let's go ahead and get to the recommendations for the week. And once again, it's one of those weeks where, that we had the 1 week before when nothing literally came out, and this week we've got a ton of stuff coming out this week. A lot of good stuff overall. One of the biggest new release this week is going to be Captain America: Brave New World. Walmart has a couple of exclusives, including a steelbook and a really nice looking exclusive slipcover edition that I pre-ordered off of their website. So hopefully that comes in the mail sooner rather than later, and it's not a repeat of the Sonic 3 steelbook debacle. But also coming out this week for the first time is Mickey 17, the movie starring Robert Pattinson from Bong Joon-ho, the director of Parasite, which I talked about it before. I like the first half of it, second half not so much, but I have that coming in the mail too from Macari. I actually got a copy online there, so it might be coming tomorrow or sometime this week, but it'll definitely be in my hands pretty soon. And then Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, which I saw this on Peacock back in February, and I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I thought it was actually probably one of the better Bridget Jones' movies since the original film. I love the first one. Sequels, not so much, but this new film I actually did kind of enjoy. That's coming out on physical media this week. And then there's movies I really want to check out. The big ones being Black Bag, the new Steven Soderbergh movie with Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett. I've heard nothing but great things about that one, so I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on that one to check that out. And then probably the one I'm most excited to check out is Better Man, the movie where it's the Robbie Williams biopic, but Robbie Williams is a monkey, and it just looks absolutely insane, but it looks like it could be really incredible. There's like a Paramount exclusive edition. Paramount Presents exclusive edition on Amazon that I want to try to get my hands on. I'm really looking forward to checking that one out. But we got some other titles as well. Dune Prophecy Season 1 comes out on Blu-ray this week. Catalog titles, there's new steelbooks for The Crazies and Kick-Ass and Wanted from Shout Factory and Lionsgate. Demolition Man, I think, comes out on a regular 4K edition this week. And that seems like it's about it. Like, the big new releases are the new releases. Like, literally the new releases. Black Bag, Bridget Jones, Captain America, Mickey 17, and Better Man. So that's the stuff I'm looking forward to get my hands on this week. And with all that said, that's going to wrap this episode of the Reviewing Network Live up. Thank you guys so much for watching this and enjoying it. If you did enjoy it, please go ahead and check out the last episode I did, as well as check out our playlist. And also, don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button, notification button, and the bell so you get updates on when new videos come out. And we do post a lot of new videos here on this channel, so definitely seek this channel. I hope you enjoyed this channel. If you do the stuff I said before. So with all that said, I'm getting out of here. Thank you so much for watching and enjoying this. I hope you did, and I will see you guys next Sunday night. So with all that said, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Until then, we are out.